Jeff, Jayson, I appreciate you making the time.
No problem.
Thank you. You're welcome.
I'm excited to get even deeper into this month's topic, 5S and being successful, just to paint a picture of what successes look like and how it's positively impacted both of you. Would you share just a little bit on one example of the impact of 5S?
Sure. Yeah. I think at Graco, at least, a big thing that's impacted us is the noticeable change in our factories. We thought our factories were really clean before, but actually walking through now, it is extremely clean. And so we're in that tour ready stage all of the time.
How about you guys?
Yeah, for me, I'd say it's togetherness. Some people that may have never worked together previously, legitimately from a department perspective, work together on 5S a lot. They can see other departments, they talk about it. And then to your point, the tour readiness, I get a lot of compliments. I give a lot of tours. And I've been there, I don't know, something like 300 years, and I've seen the walls go from a dark gray to white, and the tables going from natural wood to really nice and gray and white, and these kinds of things. You forget about those things. And every once in a while, somebody will come through that was there 20 years ago and tell you how it used to look. Mm-hmm. And it's really good, not just for me because I push the program, right, or pull the program, or ask questions about it, but for everybody else, and share those wins with people and those stories.
I can remember, I was at Midwest Rubber when I was just a pup, and I can remember the transformation. And the same with Graco. I remember, 10 plus years ago, and so it's nice to be able to see all the progress in both of your facilities. Jeff, I want to kick this next one over to you just in terms of where to begin. You had mentioned in your presentation, and if they haven't seen your presentation, they should go back and watch, but you mentioned how you wanted manufacturing to own it, and that you wanted to be able to start within production operations, and I think even some areas that were higher volume or maybe higher profitability. But it's like you went in there with surgical precision. And so could you speak to a little bit about where you started and why you picked that location in terms of how to begin?
Yeah, so we decided we wanted to pick something that was manageable. We didn't want to overload. We had 9 different locations we wanted to look at, right? So we didn't want to overload. So it needed to be manageable, but at the same time, everyone needed to see the impact of 5S, right? So it needed to be an impactful area. We didn't want to start in an office space or a break area. We wanted to start in production areas. And we did let the operations pick which production areas they would start in. Some looked at every production area and how can I get to G1 right away. Others took a more methodical approach of how can I get this one space set up right. We call one to perfect. And then after we get to that, then how do we expand across?
Nice. Jayson, how about you guys in terms of, when you first got started, where did you start and how did you pick that spot to start?
That's an easy one for us. We started in the maintenance department. The maintenance department was arguably the messiest, most widely used area. Sometimes people from the shop would go in there looking for a tool and just have a hard time. They were scattered about the table and whatnot. We didn't have nearly the organization that we have now or that we've had since that time. So we made it a model. We changed the floor in there. We got bins. We got new toolboxes. We also helped our maintenance people at that time to be successful by giving them even more to put in this area, purged some things that had been there forever, and then brought everybody through there and said, see what we can do. Nice. This is the way it was. We had pictures. This is the way it was. This is what we have now. Is this more user-friendly? Asking the maintenance personnel. They agreed.
So once you've got it started, you've got that island of excellence. It looks good. It smells good. All this stuff is there. Everyone's bought in. How do you make sure that it doesn't stop there and that you keep going?
That's the challenge, right? Some people are pack rats, and those people arguably will always be pack rats. They're going to continue to collect things and so on and so forth. So we gave them lockers. No. We did, but that's not why. So we just try to foolproof it. This is what goes here. These are the tools for the job. Anything personal, here's enough space for you. It should not be here when you leave, kind of a thing, at least out on the production floor. Maintenance department's a little bit harder because they'll grab some tools and run off somewhere and do something, come back, and maybe have to grab different tools. So there, it's more of a constant drumbeat of reminding them on how this is supposed to work, what it's supposed to look like. You're part of the team. Otherwise, they can feel like they're on an island.
Yeah. Jeff, how about you? How do you go from like one-time, event to systems that are scalable?
Sure. Yeah, I think and to us, it's starting at that, right? So don't start looking at it as a one-time event. Look at it as where you want to be. Create a strategy on how you're going to get there, right? Make it so you can measure it. You have a goal. When you're actually looking at what you're doing, right? It can feel like a one-time event, and then you can go backwards, and then you keep going because you're moving towards that goal and that strategy.
Have you ever had anyone on the team that's a total pack rat, like Jayson was talking about, and it's like, oh, come on, we got to work with each other here?
We have thousands of employees, so yes, we have both sides, right? How we would deal with someone who might be in that pack rat mentality, or that I need everything and I need all of these things, is knowing that it's not a one-time event either, right? That, okay, let's compromise, right? Understand where they're currently at. Maybe you're bought into it personally more than this next person. So, okay, why do you need this tool? Why do you need this? And then making compromises. Okay, let's start here, and then we're going to come back and see what it looks like in a few months or a few weeks, and then we're going to continue and make sure that we're still progressing.
Jayson, you mentioned this earlier, so I want to ask you about it now. How do you make sure that people don't overdo it and like label the stapler, like you're talking about?
Yep. Well, that's tough too. I mean, initially we tried to make it so fun that it was for points. And for points, people were going overboard. And then we had to evaluate the system and say, okay, is this really needed? Is this ridiculous? Yes, you won. We understand all this kind of a thing. And we had to sell the why nots as much as the whys, right? When you see things that are, like we've done iterations of shadowboarding. Then we went to toolboxes during COVID. Then it's like, do we bring back shadowboards? Toolboxes are working. How do you make sure people have all the right tools in their toolbox I can't see in there? And all this kind of thing. So we started to listen to those people too, but also just giving them the appropriate things, the appropriate amount of space, especially in the shop. Where the staplers, pencils, and things like that came in were like offices that were attached to the shop. And they have since gone to end of shift pictures that are good enough. Because nobody really wants to do that and put a pencil where it says pencil. And everybody does make fun of it. They understand it's ridiculous.
Right.
So prove it.
Yeah. How about you guys? I'm sure you've had, like you mentioned, with a large team, it's been overdone, but how do you prevent it?
Yeah, so part of us too is making sure that this doesn't become a burden or even a financial burden, that we're spending thousands and thousands of dollars on tape and stickers and those type of things, but asking why. So giving the factory's autonomy of being able to understand what they need to do. Some areas do need to have their tools taped off and others don't, right? And sometimes it's a little bit easier, sometimes it's not, right? If they have an area that their garbage can continually moves for whatever reason, they should dig into why that's moving, right? But it makes sense to have a label for it to be there. But that doesn't mean that every garbage can now needs to have a label across the factory. But then people do need to realize that when they do that, now if the garbage can's not in that spot, right, you're going to get a ding because it's not in that spot, where if you didn't have it labeled, you have a little bit more flexibility, but you can still make your audit.
Yeah. What about this one? Like, I've heard a lot, like, well, we've already done that. Are we doing this again? Or in some cases, people will be like, oh, we've been doing this for years. Like, how much longer is this program going to be? How do you make sure it doesn't get stale?
Yeah, so at Graco, we're very focused on continuous improvement, right? So 5S is not something that we've gotten stale before, right? Like it's failed before. We've had a lot of things that have started and failed. So we always go, okay, let's try it again. Today's a different day. Today we have a totally different business than we had 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 5 years ago. So what are things that we can just do again, and just the environment, let's try it, right? And just getting people to just try it. As soon as then they see the results, then it picks up pace really fast.
Yeah, I really respect how you guys have said, hey, this is G4, and let's customize it to us. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. So that actually comes from 5S and back to the taping of everything, right? It almost felt that 5S was these not guidelines, but real strict rules that we had to follow. And we go, okay, let's look at this differently. Do we really need to have both of these first two steps together? Does this make sense? And then how do we brand it around Graco, being able to bring out a Graco program, right? And we still keep the same 5S portions and the concepts, but we're building off of Graco.
Then as a leader at Graco, what's your role in like G4 or 5S? Then how do you help lots and lots of people engage?
Sure. So to me, and Jayson mentioned this as well, is your own office space and your own areas are important, right? So leading by example. And all of our leaders throughout the organization need to lead by example, right? So my office and my desk can't be a total disaster, and then I leave and then go out on the floor and tell everyone, well, your area is terrible, right? Like, you need to fix this. I can't do that, right? Like, doesn't make sense. So I have to make sure that I'm leading by example, and then just continually asking those why questions, right? Okay, if you don't like this, why don't you like this? Let's understand it better, of why this is important that you have all of these things, or you have all these tools, or this process works, right? Because you end up learning more. You need to work as a team. So it's not just because I have a directive and an idea to do G4 or 5S. I need to understand why that person is pushing back, or why they need to have the things they need to have.
That's good. You're making me think of like my home office, which really almost no one can see, and how good of example I am at home, even when no one's looking.
Yeah, exactly.
What about you? Your role as a leader, and or what advice do you have for people in that leadership role so that lots of people can engage in 5S?
Yeah, we've made a part of our culture. I mean, anybody that has come into the organization in the last 10 years, it's already a good base. It's part of the culture. You come in and you're like, wow, this is really quiet. It's really bright. It's really organized. I expected it to be dirtier, louder, etc. I hear that a lot. So it's that. So there's already that mindset walking in there. It feels that way. So when we're making smaller incremental changes, it's pretty easy to do. Plus, we really we follow continuous improvement a lot. It's in everybody's review. It's in their expectations. It's in part of our values. You know, that continuous improvement of yourself, as well as your area, for the betterment of the company and yourselves. It all combines. We're constantly explaining that to people about the culture, about how it all coincides. And in turn, you get feel-good moments, and when people feel good, they do good things. So,
And the cycle continues, right?
it just keeps going.
Yeah, snowball in the best way possible. Well, thanks to both of you. Jayson, Jeff, I really appreciate you carving out time in your busy schedules to share on 5S success.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
If
Thank
you're, yeah, you bet. If you're interested in these high level but real world examples, and you got a lot out of today, then take a closer look at either our visual management and 5S training, or our lean practitioner certification. It'll provide the training you need to be able to not just implement 5S, but be able to take a leadership role in really implementing continuous improvement, and then learning and leveraging 5S along the way as a great tool. So just fill out the form below and we'll send you more information. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next month.